Welcome to the Interview Podcast, the voice of InterCT. InterCT's aim is to help young athletes become excellent individuals through the vehicle of soccer. Love the game, love to learn, and love to compete at InterCT.
We're back. Another episode. This is Leon Othen, and we're back after a hiatus. Is it a hiatus?
I'm pretty sure that's a place in Cape Cod. Yeah. I'm 100% sure I've been on vacation there before. So,
oh my god, hiatus. We had 1 week, been crazy busy last week, but we're back again with the Interview Podcast. I'm joined today by Aaron Mazzola here in the office.
Hello,
SPU, and we have the ever-present Tom Robinson.
Thank you. I was worried that was going to get changed, but I think I've managed to keep my role on this. So we're getting a little bit more enthusiasm from our other staff.
I'm
glad to be here.
Get you from a distance, just slowly wheel you out. But we've had the first lot of games this last week, and we're ready to rock and roll. Tom, give us a quick update on some of the boys.
Yeah, it was a great start to the season. For those guys that were on the field Saturday, Sunday. Saturday was beautiful. It was a lovely day. I was lucky enough to coach Saturday morning. Nice temperature. Sunday, obviously, with the storms and the rain, threw a few more curveballs at us. But yeah, overall, we managed to get teams playing in every one of our formats that we were in. So we've got teams playing in the New England Academy South bracket. So we got the 2011s and 2010s playing in that one. They was up at Sporting, so it was a good game for those guys. Some of our Norwalk-based teams took part in the new EDP Zone 1 League, so that was good, getting some games up there. We was playing mainly against CFC. We had the girls' side as well, kicking off with that. They was part of that, and we also got some of the regional players involved with the girls, so they was kind of the best teams that we could put together from our multiple locations now, Norwalk, Union, and Lichfield, and then also just some of our younger teams, Aaron's EDP team and Imade's EDP team, that they just play in the Connecticut Futures and Championship. So overall good weekend. Lots of technically 4 different leagues that we played in this past weekend. Unfortunately, some games fell to the conditions and the elements, but overall successful. Just good to see everybody back on the field really, and get used to having your practices lead up to something. That was one thing that I like about the summer, that we can practice and have fun, but it's got to lead up to something. And because we can have games every weekend, I think that helps us a lot.
How was your weekend, Aaron?
I had a decent weekend. The first one of the season, usually it can go either way. I was 2 wins and 2 losses. So my 2013 EDP kicked off the weekend with a 3-2 win versus Green Warriors. It was a decent game, very competitive game, actually. And then my 2010 EDP lost to Green Warriors 1-0. Very physical match. Green Warriors, very physical. But, we held them for 60 minutes, and, miscommunication in the back resulted in a 1-0 loss for us. Then on Sunday, I had the 2013 RL and SL playing CFC. The RL fared very, very, very well with a 2-0 win. However, it could have gone the complete other way. We're very lucky that we had a strong goalkeeper in goal and a strong back line. And then the SL with basically a whole brand new team, a bunch of new players in. Unfortunately, we lost that one, by a fair margin. So we try to forget and move on from that.
Well, for you, it's being a new team. It's work in progress, right? As opposed to your RL.
You've got to get the chemistry.
Yeah, they've been together for a while, haven't they? So
definitely.
I think one thing before we move on to the next topic is me and Leon was talking with our social media guy this morning, and we should hopefully start getting our team of the week information on our social media platforms. So definitely have a look at that. Getting in the team of the week could mean multiple things depending on your coach. If you're one of my players, unfortunately, I don't usually give it to the person who scores 9 or 10 goals. I usually look for the person who's, doing the things that we've asked for, or, meet my non-negotiables that I have for my players. So definitely have a look out for that. It is great when families and parents, share and like and comment on us. It helps us get more of a, more views and more interaction. So, if you do see your child's been put on the team of the week and you want to share that and like it, that would be great. Leon, what platforms is it going on?
We have Instagram, Facebook for the people like me. I believe we've got to get up and running with the TikTok. I know Coach Ian was started off the TikTok, but I don't know how to use it. So if anyone knows how to do TikTok, let us know. You can be our TikTok person. But
I wanted to get the younger ones in on for that one, man.
Yeah. So no, I think and we got to get. I think we got Twitter as well. So all of those bits and bobs. But talking of that, wasn't it good to see some of these pictures that we got with the new uniforms?
I have to say, originally I liked the black one the most, but after seeing the white one in person this weekend, I think that's my favorite now.
Gray shorts, I think it works really well.
Yeah.
Which I also really like, and because of some of the personalities of the players that wear it, the bright yellow luminous goalie jersey on some of our goalkeepers that match that personality, it looks phenomenal.
100%.
Well, we're looking at one right now in the office. Yeah, just facing us. But gray shorts. We went gray shorts as opposed to white, just so we could have the boys and the girls wear the same. We weren't keen on having white shorts for the female players last year, but the new uniforms was an opportunity to change that and make sure that everyone looked uniform, if you pardon the pun. And we had what do you think, Aaron? Black or white? You like?
I do like the white. I do prefer the black. There's something to be said about just a full black kit that I prefer this year's compared to last year's as it is, just Dockside. It's very simple kit that it looks clean, and the design on the jersey or the design of the jersey is very, very simple and very clean. So for me, it's the black.
Yeah, and a very good place to go for those families that have not been yet. Dockside, Milford, great spot.
Love the pizza.
But the white gray. I think as a kit connoisseur myself, white gray, I think would have been possibly nicer.
Still beating yourself up over that white sock decision.
Yeah, well, we went white socks because a lot of people from last year had white socks, and we thought, oh, you know what, we're not going to ask people to buy extra stuff, and we kept the practice uniform the same to save parents there, and we went white socks. But no, seeing the pictures are good, and I tell you what was good as well. I do like a little mashup. So I think it was Gene's 2011's went to an away game. Olay, I think, said they were going to be in blue or something. Or no, they ended up in white. So we were going to go white, gray, white, but they ended up in white. So the girls went white socks, gray shorts, and black top. So it's almost like a Man United type.
Yeah, I think we had a similar one for some of those guys and girls that played on Sunday, right? It was white jerseys, grey shorts, but by the time they'd finished, the socks were either green or just black by the time the game had finished. So,
oh, geez, yeah.
Especially in that weather.
But anyway, talking about weather, it was unfortunate that there were a couple of teams that ended up having to make a journey. I know that there's certain rules in the league, Tom. Do you know them offhand about a 2-hour window?
Yeah. So it was kind of for one of the teams that got affected in this, with this new league format that we play in, where most of the coaches are playing back-to-back games, it means getting communication out is difficult. So the way it works is the club, not the away team, the home team. So obviously we can't control what the home team are doing. If they're saying it's on, then we have to travel no matter what. So the rule is up to 2 hours before the home team can cancel. So that can be for numerous reasons that worrisome of the weather. a lot of clubs don't like to just base it on, hey, a thunderstorm is 30%, 60%, whatever percent likely to happen. That's why they do encourage you guys to travel, because if we hadn't have traveled and we cancelled the game, because there was one game that was cancelled for one of our other teams at 5:30, and for those guys that was around 5:30 on Sunday. It was beautiful, but that was one where it was like we had to get in front of it. We didn't want anyone to travel, so up to 2 hours it can be cancelled by the club. Once we enter that 2-hour window, only the referee can cancel. So the difficult thing with that is obviously the referee, one, might not be at the field. He might not be able to get in touch with the coach or the club. And also, if the referee cancels, he's not getting paid. So usually they try and keep it on as much as possible. Obviously, so parents understand some of the guidelines that were given. Obviously, extreme temperature, extreme cold. So if they start hitting in those certain temperatures, then that can cause a cancellation. Standing water is the next one, because obviously if there's standing water on the field, the ball won't roll properly, and that's where kids can slip and we can get injured. And then obviously thunderstorms. But obviously with the thunderstorms, if something does happen, we have that 30 to 40 minute delay, which we'll touch about in a little bit. But that's kind of where it is for league games, and that's ultimately what happened with one of our teams. I believe it was Imade's team off the top of my head. He was already coaching one game. The coach of the other team was that coach that Imade was playing against, and the referee was already at the field. So there was no way to get a message out, and we were just hoping that, hey, maybe the storm doesn't hit us. Unfortunately, that was kind of like that perfect storm, shall we say, that everything lined up that way and didn't have it. So that's kind of how the league works. 2 hours before we can cancel, 2 hours in that window is purely down to the ref.
Yeah, I know we had one in North Bramford as well with one of the girls as well. It's unusual to have all this with the storms and lightning. We're not really known for a lightning state. But Aaron, we had, were you there Friday and Monday as well? It's like unbelievable.
Yeah. So, a couple, days this past week, where we, had to cancel a couple sessions, for lightning and very heavy rain. Tom, can you just touch on really quick the club's weather policy for lightning?
So it is on our website for those guys and girls that want to go through our website and try and find it. It's kind of on the extra part on the selections at the top. So it's difficult, right? We want to make use of our facilities, where in previous times where it had rained, the grass would be absolutely ruined. So now if it is just raining, normal rain, what we would call a nice day if I lived still in England, basically, where it's kind of just light rain, you can still practice, it's not cold. We would look to keep practice on. The issues that we had the last few days it's been more than just rain. It's been thunder and lightning, it's been strong winds. So how we word it, because we have so many different session times now. We have some teams doing an hour, some teams doing 90 minutes, some teams not doing the first one, and nothing really lines up perfect. So the rule is we're going to run practice as much as we can. If a thunderstorm pops up out of nowhere or just happens kind of what it did on Monday night, we ask parents to stay local. Now, we understand not everybody can. Maybe a babysitter's dropping your son or daughter off at the field, and then you've got to go somewhere else, or you're picking up on your way back from work. So if a storm pops up during practice and you're not there, we take them to the clubhouse, and they would wait with the clubhouse with the coaches and everybody. If you are there, then we ask you to go and wait in your car with your whoever's picking you up, babysitter, mum, dad, grandma, granddad, all those things. So that's kind of what happens. And then it's just a 30-minute clock. So what kind of happened on Monday was we got maybe 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, lightning and thunder started, and then we started that clock. And then every time that I always get this bit wrong, we see the lightning and hear the thunder, then we start the clock again. So say, this starts at 5 o'clock, then all of a sudden we can't get back on the field till 5:30. It does it again, 5:50, then we can't get back on the field until 5:40. And then we kind of just keep working that down. one of the other issues we have, someone like Aaron, and he has some of the older teams, so his practice might not start until 7:30. So like, we can't cancel everything at 4:30 if the storm's going to pass. So that's sometimes where you see these later delays from us. But typically that's what happens from the weather. We ask for you guys to stay local if you can. If you can't, then we just take them to the clubhouse until you show up, and then you'll probably slowly start seeing us communicating via the chat. That's the easiest way for the coaches to talk, just because it's easier to do that than get a message out to everybody. And it's typically, we're all just talking at the same time. So I might talk to Aaron, hey, your session is going to be staying on. Anthony, your session's off. Gene, let's see if we can get these guys or girls back out on the field because they're a little bit older and things like that. So that's typically how we do it. If we cancel in advance, then we would give you 3 different ways of communication, which would be the chat, we would cancel on the schedule, and we would send an email. But when we're at the field and these things pop up, much harder to manage. So usually it's just that chat function that we work through. And I think we're going to start leaning on a little bit more on our team managers or parent coordinators, just to help get the word out, because from what Anat's telling us, you guys have personalized WhatsApp messages. So if I could message my team parent and just be like, hey, practice is going to be cancelled, can you post in there as well? So that would be a fourth form of communication.
Right. And I think going forward, it's really important to note how useful and effective Sports Engine is for us, because we can reach everybody that we coach, all of the parents, through one platform. So, going forward, parents, please check and be sure that you're updated on Sports Engine, as a lot of the games, or most of the games, 99% of the time, are updated and current on the app. So if you're ever confused, check that first.
Yeah, definitely. Just while Aaron's mentioning that as well, that's a question I get, not so much this week, but at the start of the season. How do I add additional members? You can do that by going into your profile and just adding an extra email, and then they would get an invite from Sports Engine to join. What we've been doing with some of the older teams is encouraging players themselves to be on it, because a lot of the players at U13 will throw mum and dad under the bus and be like, oh, my mum didn't put my shin guards in, or right, you didn't put my practice uniform in. And we're like, well, you're 12, 13, 14 years old. You don't need your mum to pack your bag. I've got to do it for my 2-year-old when I send him to preschool. But I don't think that's the same rule that applies to some of our guys. So that's a good way.
I got worried there, Tom. I thought you said, I have to pack these shin guards when he's going to go with Leon at Adventure Soccer. And I was like, what?
I wanted to get him in. I wanted to get him. You told me he's got to wait till he's 3. He's a hilarious story. I'll be quick. During one of the camps, he got tripped up. And when he fell over, I just shouted penalty to him. So now he just falls over all the time shouting penalty. Absolutely loves it. The kid's an absolute riot. But yeah, if you can't figure out a way to add yourself, just shoot me an email with your email that you want adding, and I can do it through the app and add an extra guardian. So, and just make sure cell phone numbers are on there as well, because a lot of people just have the email, and obviously we don't want it to happen. But if someone gets injured, something serious, concussion, leg break, then we need to be able to call you and not email you.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Another, we're on the topic of current news. We have the beautiful new turf that we're also excited about, and we can't wait to get games on. We just started practicing on the turf. Question for Leon here. We'll more opening the discussion here. I know we had a company come in from Texas to evaluate the turf and how it reviewed the concussion testing, and I know that's a very important cause for a lot of, or everybody in youth sports. So Leon, how did we fare with the concussion testing?
Terrible. We need to cut it. We need to rip it all up.
Yeah.
No. More rubber pellets.
No, the guy came in, flew in on Monday, had this pogo stick type device, and another thing that had a hammer, and it kind of just drops down, and it can tell you the impact when you do fall.
Oh, wow.
And you could tell the thickness of the cushioning and the length and everything. But he said, yeah, good. He actually said, oh, it's very, he said it's very spongy right now. So I feel like the pellets might need to settle down a little bit.
Right.
I know you said we've been practicing. Kudos to Ashley and her 2010s. They christened the field with a 2-0 win on
no pressure to the next team.
Saturday.
Right? Who's going to be the first team to lose on the turf?
Glad
I only coach on the grass.
But no, it's no, it looks like all good. Obviously some other, I know I'm getting questions, what about their outside Earth Dynamics who do everything are based on the east side of the state. It looks like they may be giving the contract to our guy Yuri as well. So they're just negotiating that. I think Yuri's going to go ahead and make sure around the outside of the turf is more aesthetically pleasing, because it does look like a building site right now. But I think we're all blinded by the fact that we can get on the turf, which is the main thing.
Yeah, I do think we need to give Yuri a special shout out, though. I think he's done absolutely wonders this year. I think everyone's been looking at the turf, but the work he's done in around the facility as well has been great. So, I doubt it Yuri's ever going to listen to this podcast, but Yuri, good stuff, man.
Oh, he loves it. No,
he's in. Is he our number one listener?
YouTube subscriber. He said it because of Anthony.
Maybe that's next week. Guest.
Oh yeah,
get Yuri on.
Get Yuri in. The greenskeeper to the stars. The next topic that we have here, I'm not sure if we wanted to discuss this one here, Leon, but our technical training at Sports Performance U. It starts up this Thursday for the 2013 boys.
Is it this Thursday?
Is it next Thursday?
No, next Tuesday, I think.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah. No, because it's we offer, there's 6 free sessions, I believe, or I can't, 3 weeks. Basically, without myself getting all tongue-tied, the 2012 boys were last week. They had a Tuesday and a Thursday. We've got the girls this week. And really, it's a sample. And we're here at the Sports Performance U office right now. It's a sample for some of the new players to get exposed to the performance training that we do, and we've partnered with Sport Performance U. Just balance, coordination, bit of strength, speed, and
agility.
Of course, and we always get the question: how can we be faster? Or the answer is you've got to get stronger, because when you're stronger, the amount of power that you push off on is going to be more. And I'm very conscious that we're across the office from Coach Alex, and I'm kind of paraphrasing off of him, but I've been here and I've seen it. But I think the biggest thing is also injury prevention as well.
Yeah, of course.
When you are strong in your body, you can avoid injuries. But the biggest thing I've seen, and there's some names, Tom, especially from the 2010s, have done, is the confidence.
That's what I was working out in the back of my mind. And when you two was talking, we have our first ECRL game this weekend in partnership with AC Connecticut and the USL pathway that we have. And we've had 13 players on the 2010 boys team selected to go and represent us down in South Jersey. And I was just going through those numbers in my head, and I'm pretty sure 8 of those players that are on that roster have all done some form of SPU sessions, whether it be the technical practices to get the extra touches in, whether it be the actual conditioning part, working with Andy, or even the injury prevention. I know that was where some of the players got into that, because they kept getting niggling injuries as they were growing, and kind of all the growth plates and all the ligaments and things like that. And they've been working with SPU, and it's been really good for them. And I don't think it's a coincidence that those guys that have been doing the extra are now finding themselves having the success at this next level in the ECRL.
Yeah, and somebody who's, we've all played, but from my firsthand experience, the work that you do off of the field, one, it directly affects the performance that you have on the field. But if you're taking those measures to ensure that you're doing stuff to strengthen your ligaments and your muscles, and make sure that everything is pliable, and you won't get injured as easily. If you're taking those steps, then it will only show and only increase your performance. So, from firsthand experience, when I've, torn my meniscus twice and my ACL, the work that I've done off of the field before and after that has only pushed me forward. So,
on the other hand, I was given some stuff to do. I never did it, and I didn't play anymore. So that's the difference.
I do think that's a little bit of the old English mentality, right? I the amount of issues I have with my ankles, and I never went to a PT or any type of like strengthening it before I moved to the US, and now I fall off dance floors and get injured. So it's
I don't know if that's because of your ankle, mate, to be honest.
the story for another day, that one.
But no, I am excited with Aaron's 2013s doing this. That'll be the first time they've been really exposed to the kind of learn to train or the real performance. They've done some of it, what are called fundamentals, and had a couple of sample sessions of this. But this will be good for them. And there is an opportunity to sign up, I think, from September 26th for the following, I believe it will be an 8-week program after that. So look out for that if you're in 2012 or 2013.
Great. And all of that information is on interctfc.com. So if you ever need anything, or, curious of the programs that we do run, all of the information is on our website, interctfc.com. So we have one more common question that we've received this week, and then we can get to our weekly discussion topic. So, Tom, if you could just touch on the tournaments that we attend in the fall for Columbus Day weekend.
Yes. So with Columbus Day, we kind of tackle it with the club-centric approach. Just so myself, Leon, we can see the club as a whole, because what happens is we all attend the Poughkeepsie tournaments, and Saturdays when the boys are, Sundays when the girls are. It also allows our staff to kind of be at most of the things, usually with tournaments, and you have somebody like Aaron who's got multiple teams, like Gene, like Ashley. It's difficult to get you to the tournaments, and then ultimately you go to a tournament and you don't get your coach. So with this one, all the fields are in the same location. The coaches are very busy, running from field to field, but it's a good, fun tournament. What we'll do in the next few weeks is we'll start reaching out to the parent coordinators to try and help us set up what we call it base camp. So what we'll typically do is we'll take some tents, we'll take some benches, and then we'll just have like a nice area for families to sit down and wait between games. There's nothing better, in my opinion, than like if my 2015s are playing and they've got like the 2013s watching them. It's just that it's a cool thing that we just don't really have the ability to do on the normal weekend, because everyone's in different areas. So, that's where that will be. We do have, I spoke to Dave Shannon today about potentially him bringing his Litchfield teams in there. So it would be the first opportunity for me to see them play. So I'm excited about that. Spoke with Stephen at Union. Some of those groups are going to come and compete up there. So that would be good. There could be some games where it's, into Norwalk versus into Union, hopefully in a final or a semi-final. So that could be a good little experience up there. So the only negative I have with the tournament is it's quite last minute with the schedule. Usually it's the Monday or the Tuesday before. So typically how it's ran is if you're U9, U11, U13, you're in the morning. Morning slots usually like an 8:30 kickoff. And then typically you're done by around 12:30. And then if you're the even numbers, U10, U12, U14, you're usually in the afternoon. And same thing, that's like a 12:30 till 5, 6 game. So it's pretty fun. It's a unique type of tournament. I don't know your opinion on it, Aaron. I think unique's a good word to describe it. It's pretty quick, right?
Yeah. The way it's run, efficient, albeit, it's start and stop on a very loud air horn, which if you're stood next to, you won't be able to hear for a couple minutes after that. But it's a very good tournament for, our teams. Usually we get a fair amount of success there. but it's also not incredibly far like Needham is. So it's a nice, in between distance and in between competitive level, but very efficient tournament. I think a thing to note about this tournament is you said the schedule is released fairly late, and we do have a fair amount of families, including the coaches. We are concerned about when we are going to get this schedule. And when we figure it out, when we get it, that's when we let the parents and families know. So understood if you're looking to plan weeks in advance, but we know the days and times usually when we should be there. The schedule just comes to us a little bit later.
I think,
I think the only other
it's full pelt, right? I think as long as you know your day, and if you're AM or PM, you're not going to go anywhere. There's going to be a 30-minute window, I think, where you don't have a game, or at most a 1-hour window.
Right.
Yeah. Nice. It is good fun, and like I said, for the coaches, it's you get your steps up. You end up. I think I was talking to Anthony last year. I think he coached over 20 games. But it is a good way to get it in. The only negative I had from coaches, we had one coach last year very disappointed at the time he could get his first coffee. But other than that, I think that was the only negative we had from the coach.
2 years ago, actually.
Oh, it was 2 years ago, was it?
2 years ago. It was a rough morning, and the games had started before the coffee stand was open.
Coffee had started.
Oh,
but yeah, and then
that one. Well, you know why Anthony got his steps in? It's because he was looking for his wallet.
Right.
Yeah, that is a usual trick of Mr. Quinn. But just for the other teams, we do have one or two teams who don't go to this tournament, and they will be notified of other tournaments. So I believe Ashley's regional girls teams, they're going to go down to New Jersey like they did last year. The 2010 boys RL team is going to go to Farmington. We was going to send them down to New Jersey again like we did last year, but that same weekend they could have a USL event, so we didn't want to double book them. And I believe Coach Pedro's 2012 Union Black team are going to do a tournament inside Connecticut as well. So the main thing you can take from that is usually our tournaments in the fall are very close by. The spring is where we go a little bit further and do our sleepaway tournaments.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for the insight there, Tom. Appreciate that. And now we can get into our weekly discussion topic. Conscious not to make this podcast a little too long, but we figured this episode is a good one to discuss the roles of the central attacker. And a lot of the time the roles are very similar, but certain coaches and certain styles of play ask for different things in the central attacker role. So we can start with Leon here. I know you've coached, Leon. Now you have the 2016 and 15 boys.
Oh yeah, they're expecting
and
to
girls.
do that. Yeah, they expect.
How's your number 10 doing that for me?
Very well. I think what we can take from this is, like anything in life, you got to start with the end in mind. I think there was a book Stephen Covey wrote with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But you've got to start with the end in mind. And I think what we're going to achieve here is let players and parents know what the end product should be when we're looking for a striker. So if and when a player, and I'm thinking a little bit older, obviously the 2016's not so relevant, but when players are disappointed that they don't get to play that position as much, or if parents are saying they need more playing time, or if, more often than not, the role of the attacker, there is just this one central attacker. I can tell you that out of a squad of 14, 15, I can tell you 7 of them want to play in that one position as striker. If you're not playing that role, why is that? Are you doing what you've been asked to do in here, or are you doing what the coach is looking for you to do? And I think what we're trying to do is marry the two here in letting you know what it is that we're looking for, so you can go out there and do it. Not that coaches don't tell players, but obviously these are the things that people do. We're looking for people to do more often than not. I hope that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah. it's good to know. Yes, you do have the younger teams and younger players, but a lot of the time coaches want very similar things out of their central attacker. And you had mentioned end product for a central attacker. I mean, that's what you really do have to focus on. End product being pass, cross, or shot, you know. So we have a little slide over here. In possession, the central attacker needs to show for the ball 2 feet in between or beyond. So in between the lines, or we can also look to play balls over the top to a central attacker, or diagonal balls as well.
Any thoughts on that, Tom? Because I know you like to get the ball to the forward quite early, right?
Yeah, that's just upbringing. Anyone know who Sam Allardyce was? That's who I was brought up watching as a Bolton fan all those years ago. But yeah, for me, I'm not saying I'm telling my kids to smash the ball, but if we can find the striker early, let's find him. One thing with the age groups that I coach is a lot of our strikers just think they have to run forward. So one of the things that I like in here is kind of where it says between. Typically, we like to call it the pocket or the hole. You get a lot of defenders who don't push up too much, and then the midfielders who don't drop back. If we can get players picking up the ball in there, one, they can get turned and move forward, and also that will allow the wingers to run in behind as well. So if I could highlight one of those three ones that Aaron just mentioned, that's the hardest one to learn. I think movement off the ball to kind of do that. We have a lot of players in the age group that I coach that just go and stand behind the defender. Not only are you offside if you do that, but it's nearly impossible for us to get you the ball. For you to get the ball, someone's got to make a mistake. So, don't want to talk too much about the smaller side, but I know like Leon, could you potentially put that into what you have? I know you coach the younger ones here, but you're also heavily involved with the 19s at the USL. So, that could be something you can touch on. And same with you, Aaron, right? You have it from a 9v9 and an 11v11 point of view this year.
Right.
Yeah, I just sorry, Aaron.
Go ahead.
I'm just so passionate. Well, you hit me there when you said kids just hiding behind defenders. More often than not, the striker's going to be outnumbered. There's going to be 2 defenders on your or whatnot. And I can think of the movement. There's 2 types of movement. There's up and down the field, so towards the goal and more in the midfield. Just watched England versus Scotland, and that, which was yesterday, and it was talking about the important role of Harry Kane. Very good striker, but not blessed with speed. When you're talking about trying to get the ball to Harry Kane, it's not over the top for him to run onto. But what he does do is he comes more into that midfield or more into that pocket of space that you talked about. And one of 2 things going to happen. He's going to be not marked by a defender, and he's going to get the ball and able to turn and then face his own goal with players coming on. Or what will happen is the defender will go with him, and what does that leave?
Space.
Yeah. And so that allows the other players to go in beyond. They're talking about Phil Foden was going on beyond and Rashford was going on beyond. But, if you're a striker, I think there's a misconception that you've got to be the fastest and whatnot. But I think a good forward will get into those spaces and set other people up.
Right.
And so I'm going off on one now, but you've got the vertical play north to from goal to midfield, but you've also got that, and we do it with the USL, east to west. Lateral. Can you get a lateral movement? Thanks, Aaron. And you need that to be what you say on the side of the ball. So it's very hard, Aaron's players to hit 40-yard diagonal balls through 6 players. So you hear coaches say you've got to show. And the best way to show is to be on the side of the ball so you can play it there. So that's my rant over.
No, I mean, both of you are, interesting perspectives. And I think the big takeaway from this part of the discussion is strikers getting on the ball, central attackers having that confidence and using their movement to find those pockets of space, get on the ball, and be able to combine and play with everybody else on the field. I think, you said before, Leon, that a lot of our strikers at the younger age are hiding behind. And I think that a big misconception of central attackers and strikers, as I can't speak right now, is that they stay up top and somewhat hide. There's no set position or set role or set place on the field for a central attacker. Yes, if you look on a board or a piece of paper, central attacker will be the highest one on the field, but who says you can't check in and get that ball, in the central third of the field. And so that, that goes on to the next point that we have here, which is set up link the midfielder and winger with creative combination play. You can check in the center on the wide areas of the field and be able to create and have that ball at your feet to provide space and options for other wingers or center midfielders.
Yeah, and I think for people listening, and I'm very conscious that I'm very much a visual learner, and this is obviously an audio podcast, but if we can picture, the field, and we've talked about checking in or going into midfield, but when we talk about combination, to me, that's one of three things. It's, can the striker set it back to the midfielder? So to me, a setback is one of them.
The way that you're facing.
The way that you're facing. The other one would be a wall pass or a 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
So you play into the striker and then someone runs beyond to be able to give it there.
Again, the movement off of the ball.
And then the third one would just be an overlapping run.
Yep.
And an overlapping run tends to happen when you're a little bit wider as well.
Mm-hmm.
And please note that part of that combination, if someone is overlapping, the whole point of that overlap is not to get the ball, but the overlapping run is almost to distract the defender. So then the forward then gets to make a decision to which we've got here, spin and go to the goal themselves. So think, when you got that ball, are you going to get it? Are you going to, for a combination, are you going to set? Are you going to provide a wall pass? Or is there, if you're wide, is there going to be an overlapping run from a player? And actually, Coach Dave Shannon's Litchfield team are very good at overlapping runs.
Great. Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the most prominent and lethal central attackers that are in the game now, I mean, you can talk about the Rossoneri, Olivier Giroud, who AC Milan striker now, who
favoritism going on here.
He's often finds himself, not being the youngest one on the field anymore, but his movement off of the ball is unparalleled with the wisdom and experience that he has. The penetrating runs, you can find him overlapping, but a lot of the time he's at the far post and he's sweeping and cleaning and everything up. So as long as you're making those runs and creating those options, you should have a fair amount of success.
He is having trouble talking today.
I keep thinking he's trying to say the Bolton Wanderers Stadium every time.
I
think with what Aaron's trying to say as well, and what Leon was touching on, I think we can all think of multiple players that all fit certain things on here, right? I remember kind of what you were saying about Giroud. When he was in the Premier League, he was treated as a target man. You know what I mean? And that kind of role, youth soccer doesn't really exist because obviously we can't win headers and stuff like that at some of the younger ages. But, you might need a striker who is a target man, can hold the ball up, can win things in the air. You might need more of the Firmino, who's going to drop deep. Like, no one ever thought of a false nine a few years ago. Now you have him in there, and he was one of the best strikers in the Premier League because of that. And then now you had like the likes of Harry Kane, who was like a bit of both. He could be a target man. He could drop in deep. And now you've got Haaland, who's just an absolute freak, right? He can do everything.
Yeah.
He's fast, he's powerful, he's skillful. His touches are only ever in the advanced area. The one thing that I would like to touch on mine, and a lot of the kids that I coach, bear in mind, it's the younger ones, I always tell them, I need you to be the best defender on the team. Because if they can press the ball and win the ball high and set traps, it's so much easier to score goals when you're already in the other team's half, instead of having to rely on the goalkeeper making a save and then building it up and then moving it forward. So, don't just have that mentality of, it's my team's job, they're going to go defend, I just got to go put the ball in the net. Where if we all have that same job to press. You know, your striker's got to set traps. I say, can we force the defender on the other team to play into an area where we have an overload and try and, you know, use that to our advantage? So, you know, even the defensive side needs to be, you know, high up on that team's or even that player's radar, just to help them in general, because it's only going to allow him or her to score more goals, but also the team in general will benefit from that. And if you see one person pressing, that's pointless. So then that forces your other teammates to join as well, because there's no point having one person press 4 players, so they'll just pop it around them. But if we can get a few more bodies up there and the midfielders can help and support, then it's going to help them a lot.
I always say to my players, the best defender has to be the striker.
Has to be the striker, yeah.
But with regards, you know, and the more intelligent players as well as you get older, and I know you're envisaging some of your U9s there, Tom, but as we get older, more intelligent players will help make play predictable, almost by not necessarily going to win the ball, but forcing them to a certain side. And these players will know that the defenders are right-footed or left-footed. So they will almost come from the side to make them play with their left foot. And, you know, let's face it, if we're playing some of these levels here, a player's not going to be able to ping with their weaker foot to clear danger correctly. So, you know, good strikers will be able to force mistakes, as it were.
Yeah. That's, you know, very important for when we're out of possession and off the ball. You know, I mean, a lot of times, you know, the striker is that first line of defense. So, you know, we have to be defending together, but it starts from that number 9 a lot of the time. And, you know, we were just joined by Coach Imade here.
Hi guys.
He's a Chelsea fan. He's going to be useless at this topic.
We've had a couple central attackers in the last.
So, Imade, if you could enlighten us with some of your perspectives on the efficacy and efficiency of a central attacker, what are these roles? What are these competencies that you look for?
I guess for me, the first line of going about a central striker is what type of system I'm playing. Speaking on me as a coach, I coach 7v7. We play 2-3-1. That first striker is similar to what you guys were talking about, is kind of our decision maker when it comes to pressing the ball and attempting to win the ball back off the other team's goal kicks. Keeping the ball wide, can we force the ball into a space where we kind of control the situation? But I also think the striker has to be very, very talented, whether it's skillful. We see big strikers, we see strikers that are very, very quick. He has to have something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, especially to lead a line of a team.
Sure.
The team tends to adopt, I've noticed, the personality of the striker. We talk about like Harry Kane and how Tottenham molded to Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Built wingers around him. You look at what other club can I bring up? Benzema, when he was at Madrid at least, and how they tried to build wingers around him as well. I think the striker does so much on both sides of the ball for a team.
What you're trying to say, and what I'm getting is, you know, the team is not necessarily built around the striker, but they're looking for and trying to find the striker when we get towards
that's always
the final
our
third.
general goal. You know, you want to get the ball to the striker because he's closest to the goal. So I think the mannerisms and the decisions the striker make ultimately shape the team. Is he going to drop in and try to play in there? Is he going to sit high and try to pin a center back? And then how the team works to collectively get him that ball. But it starts with the striker and his decisions.
Interesting.
I think with all that, we've almost covered everything without getting too complicated, you know. And just to recap, we've said that number one, that, you know, Imade just said it, striker has to get on the ball.
Yep.
So to do that, you've got to move. Nothing infuriates coaches more than strikers standing there with their hand up. You got to move, and we've talked about laterally, east to west, but vertically as well, up the field or into the pockets, as Thomas said. We've talked about once they've got the ball, what's their decision? Are they going to turn and penetrate, do a penetrating run? And a penetrating run really means at pace and try and break that line, or are they going to combine? And then I think the last thing is once you're there, and this is what Coach Aaron said, is there going to be an end product? And there has to be something. There's nothing worse than for a coach or a team to have someone there near the penalty box, and all they do is just run off the field. Or all they do is just run into players. And then all of a sudden, we've talked about having teams support the strikers and move up with them, whether off the ball or now with on the ball. Your team's made all that effort to go and try and get into positions, and then that player loses it without even a thought of a shot. We don't even get a corner. We get nothing. And it's not even good defending. You just run into defenders. And I'm a little bit passionate about it because I know my team could have won over the weekend, but there weren't enough end products. So that's that. So I think if we were on a chalkboard now, or we were to put this here, those are the things that we would be looking at, definitely. Sorry, I got on my rant.
No, that's completely okay, Leon, and we can tell that you're very passionate about that.
Last time I was that passionate was about
wait till we start talking about the goalkeepers, man. That'll be like a 3-part podcast.
What do you think next week? What should we do? We've done central attackers today. What are we going to do next week?
Fullback.
Oh, you would go straight into the fullback. All right,
Such an important position. Now, if I could pick, I would do fullback.
Oh, you've got to be on the podcast then, because
all right,
you're in.
Good.
So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Imade. Thank you, Leon. And we look forward to connecting next week.
Thanks for listening to the Interview Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook and Instagram, and check out our website, www.interctfc.com.